Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jacqs. Thanks for joining me today as I start a new little series about junk journaling. As you know, I recently shared with you a new collection that Country Craft Creations just put out, in which I collaborated on the creation. Petals and Letters Hybrid Junk Journal Collection. I received a sample of this new collection before it actually went to print, and I was able to share with you the full reveal of that collection, and I'm super excited to start working with it. So while my full collection makes its way to me in the mail, I thought we would get started on creating a journal with what I have. As I started digging through all of the stash materials that I have for junk journaling, I went a little crazy about all the ideas and things that we can create with this. So I thought I would share the process with you as I go throughout creating this first journal using this collection. For those that are new to junk journaling and maybe those that want to learn a little bit more, I might have some inspiration, some tips and tricks that can help you. And I'll definitely be going through some of the basics, such as materials and tools and things like that, to help get you started along the way of junk journaling. To get started, we first must know what a junk journal is. And a junk journal is a collection of different materials that are bound together so that you can use it to keep track of your memories, you can keep lists, you can do all kinds of things with them. So as we go along throughout this process, just remember that a junk journal can be whatever you need it to be at that moment. When they first came out, junk journals were handmade and they were using materials that were readily available. They were recycled materials. They were what we now call vintage materials. And they were stacked together, creating signatures, which we'll learn more about that as we go through this series if you're not familiar. And they were bound together to keep memorabilia, photos, as I mentioned, list, and just a lady's diary of the time. And over time, they have evolved, and the traditional or original junk style journal has been fused with more modern materials. So nowadays you'll find junk journals with a mix of vintage materials as well as everyday materials that are new and recycled or upcycled materials. So it's really a bit of a hybrid. And I love that about journals because you can just put whatever you want in them and they're just wonderful. I love junk journals. I've created many of them and different types of journals and different sizes. There are no boundaries to junk journal making. So as we go throughout this process and with our new collection, we're really kind of making the hybrid journal because we are going to be using a combination of the old and newer materials. So I wanted to show you just a few examples of some different types of journals, and then we're going to go right into supplies and different materials and textures that you can use. I made all of these using paper collections and supplies that I got from Country Craft Creations, and they're really just all different types of little junk journals. This one here is like a little file folder journal. What I love about this one is I put the wax seal on the front cover, and I really just love that. And as you see, we have book pages, library cards, just little note sheets. And this one is a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Again, we'll learn more about that as we go along, how you can bind your materials. And speaking of binding, the next one I have to share was one that was bound with fabric washi tape, and this is a tab binding. And I just love this one, how it came out, because I added some vintage type materials with this. I printed out an old stamp book, and I just love including that in here. It really gives it that vintage feel. And then we have little clips that we can use. This is coffee and tea dyed papers that I bound together. So it's really a bit eclectic. You can put whatever you want in it. Another way to identify it as a hybrid junk journal is one that has elements in it that are interactive or pop up. You see in this kind of vintage style junk journal, I've included a more modern waterfall feature in here, and I just love having that as part of this whole journal. Now this one here is your traditional traveler's notebook. So this is the traveler's notebook cover, and then on the inside are 3 traveler's notebook inserts where I've decorated the outside, added pockets to the inside, just a few little embellishments, but this is basically just paper in this particular journal. This was fun. I have videos on all these that I'm showing you, so if you're interested in making any of them. But even here I included more modern elements, again making it a hybrid junk journal or traveler's notebook journal. And then this last one, I absolutely love this. I don't know why I haven't been using it. I don't even use my own journals. I don't know why. But this one is a hybrid junk journal. This was made with a file folder, and it has handmade papers in it, which is something that the original junk journals had, because back then they did more handmade papers than you get now that are more traditionally created by big manufacturers. We have the doilies. I even used magazine pages in this one, which is fun to include. We have stickers. So as you can see, it's really just a mix-up of all kinds of materials. We have fabrics in here. There are tags. We have old magazine ads, little metal tags. Hidden paper clips is another fun element to use. Just so many fun things. Yeah, this is a great one. Here I added a cello bag. And again, another more modern element is the waterfall. So there's just all kinds of ways to create a journal. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of the different types. So now let's look more closely at the supplies. Let's start by talking about vintage materials. You can find these types of materials at your local thrift stores. Country Craft Creations has also put together an accessories pack for junk journaling, and that will be available soon on the website, and it will have some authentic vintage materials in it, as well as a mix of modern materials as well, which gives you a nice balance to the hybrid junk journaling. These are all vintage materials that I've collected. Some I've purchased, some were given to me, but I kind of wanted to just show you some examples. This one I purchased at a thrift store. It's a Simplicity sewing pattern. I love using sewing pattern in junk journals, whether it's for sewing or not. The material alone gives you a nice noise. It's a nice texture feel. It's just a lot of fun. And I've seen people make journals out of the covers, and they're gorgeous. I just love that. But this is an example. I also have some old vintage gift wrap. That is another example that you might find. Like, look at this. It's cowboys. That's fun. Someone gave me these. And then, of course, we have like magazine ads. Look how old this one is. It's falling apart, but I love it. It has that nice aging color to it. Oh, I got to be really careful with this. It's very delicate. You can use book pages. In fact, I actually have a old dictionary, and I always pull pages out of there that I use. This one looks like it might be from an encyclopedia. But these are just some examples of vintage materials that you can use. Oh my gosh, this is part of a poem, The House that Jack Built. Look how old this is. My goodness. Oh, that's nice. Sleeping Beauty. Ooh, I love it. Look how nice and vintage these are. Oh my goodness. This one is like a crochet pattern. Very pretty. So these would be excellent. This is from 1960. So awesome. Kill the hair root. The advertisements are so funny to read. I also have some vintage tickets. Now these I purchased. I don't remember how much they were. And she threw in some vintage cigar wrappers, which I thought was fun. But I just love having the variety of tickets. Now, I must say, I am actually making another companion pack to go with this Petals and Letters collection. And I did put in a couple tickets in that one. But these are a great staple to have. And of course, I have an old library card there. And here's some more cigar wraps. I've used these in a couple of my journals. Slides are another vintage material that you can use. I got these at a thrift store. I love using those. One of my favorite things to incorporate into journals is material from an old playwright piano. So this is the old Piano Roll Blues. I'm not sure how old this is, but it is quite vintage, as you know, just by looking at it. It's the old piano roll, and you can actually see how they've mapped out the notes to be played on the piano. I just love that. The material is thin, kind of like our vellum paper. So that's really fun to use. I cut off the beginning because I just love this as a cover. So I'll probably wait and use that in something special. So that's just an example of some of the vintage materials that you could incorporate into your junk journals. Now we're going to talk about found or recycled materials, and some of the fun things that I like to use are the coffee cup wraps that go around your cups. These are fun. This one's from Panera, Starbucks. I don't even know where I got these two because I don't even drink coffee, so somebody must have given them to me. But these are fun to include in junk journals. You can use them to make pockets. They could be belly bands, all kinds of things. Another fun one is tags from our clothing that we may purchase, or it could be an old tag. It doesn't have to be new. Like, look how beautiful this is with the florals. Just put some cardstock on the back, add a twine or ribbon to it, and you're good to go. You could even put a sticker or element over that to cover the actual label, but these florals are gorgeous. I love the Levi tags because they're kind of a heavy, almost a chipboard, very light chipboard, and these are just great. I love the structure of them. I have taken doilies. I purchased this one from a thrift store, and I've taken it and cut it apart, and I've used this in some of my junk journals. So if you're done using them as decoration on your tables, cut them up and use them. I've taken old shirts or dresses and I've cut laces off of them, and I've used those laces and incorporated them into journals as well. I mean, you have materials in your house right now that you can use to create a journal. Your mail is a great place to start. All those envelopes that we receive in the mail can be turned into junk journals fold them in half, add your papers inside, and you'll have a nice layered journal. And you can cut this open and you'll have a nice little pocket. So many different things to do with envelopes. I especially love these ones with the windows. Not only do they sound good, but it creates a nice little peekaboo to the item inside of the envelope. So don't think you have to go out and purchase anything. You don't. I'm telling you, you have things in your home right now. You don't need to go out and buy any supplies other than our beautiful new collection. But you will have things that you can incorporate into your journal right at your house. Handmade papers. Now this is really recycled papers. So I love using handmade papers. I love the feel of it. These are some nice decorative ones I've gotten from a thrift store. And cereal boxes. Oh my gosh, look how gorgeous this cereal box is. Rapunzel is one of my favorites, and I just love this. My stepmother sent this to me after she saw me create a junk journal, and I love this. I mean, these are perfect to cut out, include in journals for little kids. Of course, they could be for grown-ups too, because I like her. But these are gorgeous. So not only do cereal boxes make a good structure for the outside of your journal, but you can also use them to decorate your journal. Now this is a more modern item that was created, but I know some of us, or even your parents, might have old film strip that you could use. These are so fun to incorporate into journals. These are readily available as well, but stamps are another great item to add to your junk journals. I love collecting these when I receive mail. I always keep the interesting and pretty ones. Sometimes I'll just pull out the stamp itself, and then sometimes I'll do the whole area with the line stamping. It's just so fun. Now, oh, look at this one. How cute is that? So you can get these just from your own mail that you receive, or I know some places sell vintage stamps, and I have purchased those as well. This was a nice little collection. What I liked about this is that they were from different countries, and I wanted to have that variety in my journals. Oh, that's pretty. Paraguay. I just love using it. Look at these. They're so pretty. But that's just another idea of something that you would readily have available to you. Another great supply item for your junk journals are jewelry items, wood pieces, clips of all types. And these can be used in your journal to decorate. We have buttons that are great to use as decoration. Your buttons can become closures, and cabochons. These are always fun to add to the cover, but great little wood pieces. Keys, like how many of us have keys in the house and we don't know what they go to, or that item is no longer in the house, but we have the key. Use the key in your journal. Use it as a dangle or a charm. It's a great way to use up stuff that we have in that junk drawer in the kitchen. Check it out. You might find a treasure trove of items that you can put in your junk journal. I've already mentioned that you can upcycle material that you own, such as clothing, and you can cut the lace off of one and use that in your junk journal for a flip up. This was cut from a dress. I'm not quite sure what this one was cut from, but this is another example how you can upcycle your clothing and reuse it. Is it upcycle or recycle for that? I don't know. But this one was actually a black t-shirt, and it had these rosettes around it. I absolutely loved it, but these actually just fell off the shirt. So I kept the rosettes because they're gorgeous, and I can cut them apart. I mean, all of this was on a t-shirt. Can you believe it? So those kinds of things you can use. Here's laces that were on wedding gowns, and these were cut off. You can see the rough edging where they were actually cut off of the gowns. So recycle your wedding dress if you have one. Buy a cheap one at a thrift store and use that. And don't forget about all of those sequin jeans that you bought your kids or you might own yourself. Someone actually gave me this pair, but look how gorgeous this is. I love it. So you not only can use the blue jean material to make a cover for a journal, you can also use the decorative elements that are on them. Now I have my share of ribbon and fabrics that are new, but I also have those that are recycled. And these are great items to use with your journals. I wanted to share with you, I have this bag that's specifically from Country Craft Creations, and I use those materials, but I also have done quite a bit of thrifting, and I found one of the best places to thrift, and they had samples of material that were used to create pillows or for furniture. And it was, oh my God, it was like hitting the jackpot. I love this, so gorgeous. But you can see they have little labels on them, and people, these are little samples, and people would select the material they want on their pillow and then they would make it. But I have quite a few of those samples. Here's another one. I just love that. Or you might have some old quilts that you maybe didn't finish, or this one I actually got in that same thrift store, and I love this. And I have actually used this in a sewing journal that I created, and I love having that in there. You might have old tablecloth or little liners for your coffee table. Those could be used as well. This is really long. Here's another gorgeous one that I have. And of course, we have our laces and tulle that you can use. Here's another set of free samples that I got for furniture. And they had these adorable little, like, I don't know, trim pieces. And then these little squares of different fabrics. And I love all of these crocheted ones. Like, how awesome is that? So these are fun things to use. You can make flips out of them, pockets, like I mentioned, just so many different things. It's just gorgeous. Great for layering. Now here's another type of material that I hoard, and that is my sari silks. I love these remnant pieces. They're so gorgeous, and you can cut apart and just add them to your tags, put them on as decoration, add them to the covering. Again, they would be great for layering. They're just so gorgeous. I purchased this whole bundle. It was like $60. It was kind of expensive. I was really into it at the time. I've only used them a couple times. I just hoard them a little bit because they're pretty to look at. They are inspiring. You know, this little bit you could just put in your journal. It's just so fun. There's so many gorgeous things here. Oh my goodness, I could get lost in this. Oh, I love that. Beautiful. Anyways, I just wanted to give you a variety of, there's so many different types of materials. You could put old wallpaper in there as well. Another great staple for junk journaling. So these are modern materials that have been tea or coffee dyed. You can even use Kool-Aid to dye your papers. I have used balsamic vinegar. Now, this is the papers that I dyed them with, and I absolutely love the color that comes out when using balsamic vinegar. However, it does have a very, very strong odor, so I've never used these papers. They've been sitting with a fabric softener sheet for probably several years, and they still smell like vinegar. But I must say, they are very pretty to look at. Maybe one day I'll actually use them. It was really just a test that I did when using that type of cooking material to dye my papers. But the traditional is really more like coffee or tea. This is a vellum sheet that I coffee dyed. You get lots of crinkle with that one. I love it. I love it. I have done doilies, just regular ledger paper. I've even done index cards, and these are all things that you can put in your junk journal. Here's some more coffee dyed papers. Some more handmade papers. Now, I didn't hand make these, but I do love them. I love this one that has the leaves in it. So neat. You can use regular paper as well. This was a nice gray lined paper, probably more from the resume type papers out there. I love adding that. Yeah, these were ledger papers that I bought. Look at this old ledger paper. I love it. I love the color of it. I bought a whole pad of those at a printing shop. Here's another one. Parchment paper is fabulous. Love the coloring of that. I have different kinds of parchment paper. And this is a construction paper for kids, but I absolutely love this color. Now, it does tear easily, but I still love using it in my journals. It's just a great color. And then I've even taken 11 by 17 sheets of paper and tea dyed those. This is great if you're going to use it to wrap a cover, having that nice large size. And then some more modern materials, of course, would be your doilies. Again, these are paper doilies. Now, I have taken paper doilies, I have laminated them. This one I glued on the back of vellum paper to make it stronger so that when you tuck things into it, it doesn't get stuck in the little holes. So you can use them as they are, or you can back your doilies with something to make them a little bit stronger. Decoupage paper or rice paper is also another fun element to add to your journals. They come in all different designs. I have this beautiful Alice in Wonderland one. I just haven't used it yet because it's just so gorgeous. Another fun material that I like to incorporate, and it's really because I love this green color, but this is masking paper that they use when drywalling, and it's in the Home Depot or Lowe's store for drywalls, and I love this. It comes in this humongous roll, so I'll never be able to use all that, but I love it. It's thin but strong, and I love the color. Here's some other types of tissue paper that you can incorporate into your journals. And of course, any kind of bag or envelope. These are glassine envelopes. I love these. These are great to emboss as well as put them in just like that. They all come in multiple sizes, of course. We have coin envelopes. I mean, you could even get these at your local dollar store. As I mentioned, crochet thread is another good thing to have in your stash. I love the natural color here. I use that probably more than anything. I also have baker's twine. Of course, that's good in any type of crafting. And then these specialty type threads. I have like fun fur and this golden sequin one. I even have the silver one. I don't use these very often, but these are great for layering, especially in junk journals. So that's another idea for you. Now, you may not think it, but crepe paper is also another fun item to add to your journal. You can take it and even do this with any type of other material, but you can kind of fan fold it and create a decorative edge down at the bottom of your page. Use them in layering. They're also fun to create little rosettes. You can even use cupcake liners and make a rosette out of that, and then do some additional layering on top. So unconventional materials are another category that can be placed in your junk journal. Now, another fun item to include are playing cards, and these are probably already in your house. I have so many different kinds. There are flashcards, right? If you're making a princess journal, flashcards, edition cards. I even have ones that are poo. So those are things that could be found at the Dollar Tree. I love this pack that I have of Harry Potter cards. I have 2 of these. I love them so much. I'm afraid to use them. But these are great. I mean, they could be used in your journals to decorate, have this on one side, and then you could add pattern paper or cardstock on the back side for journaling or photos. These are just so fun to include. Here's just a regular set of playing cards, but I like the sentence on the back. It said, "We're not old, we're vintage." How fun is that? I have used this in several of my journals because it's just a fun one. I found these cards that are all about coffee. Like, put some knowledge in your journal. What gives coffee its appealing flavor? And then on the back side, it'll tell you. So these are fun to just put in there as little conversation pieces, right? Or things to make you think. Just like these that I got. This one are basic words for Spanish. This one were the presidents of the United States, like a little info card. I love that idea. And I had this one on landmarks, and they would tell you about them. Like if you're doing a travel junk journal, something like this would be perfect for that. Look at this gorgeous set that I got here. It's a vintage set. I think I found these at Walgreens. Bicycle vintage. Look how gorgeous on the back side, and here are the actual cards. Love this. I would cover the back and let that show. It's gorgeous. So don't think that an ordinary box of playing cards can't be used in junk journaling, because it can, and so can that Monopoly money. Now let's talk about some of the tools that you might use when creating junk journals. You have your traditional supplies that we all use when we're crafting, such as your rulers and your scissors. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about some scissors because I have a few that you may have used a long time ago, or maybe you're not familiar with, or some that you've never thought of. So of course we have our traditional scissors that you would use. And here's a blast from the past. If you've been crafting for a long time, there are decorative scissors that will give you a nice decorative edge. Now these are always fun to incorporate into projects. But it gives you a nice decorative edge there. I've actually created a junk journal where I decorated the edge of each page, and it was beautiful. I loved it. So if you have decorative scissors in your stash, now might be a time to dig them out. In the sewing world, you also have fringe scissors, and these are fun to make a decorative edge as well. You can also buy rulers that have deckled edges, or you can even buy now trimmers that have deckled edges. I think Tim Holtz has one, right? You can also buy a tool that has different types of deckled edges, but this is always fun. I like using this. It gives you a really nice torn edge. I love it. Another tool that I discovered is for stamps. If you cut them out as a rectangle and you buy a barber scissor, it will give you the stamp edge. See? It gives you that stamp edge. I love it. So that's just another type of scissor that you can have in your arsenal. Punches are another great item that you can use when creating junk journals, just like any other type of craft. I have a 1/16 or a pinhole punch, a regular hole punch, and an 1/8 inch punch. But now you can also use decorative edge punches. Those are awesome to use in your journals as well. Another great way to create a decorative edge. And having something that can set eyelets is fun too. You can use these on tags, even on pages, to add some decoration to them. Another fun one is a tool that can scratch your page or scruff up the edge. This one you can use to tear the paper and make it look a little bit worn and vintage. Gives it that kind of old, if you like that look. You can also use to sand a paper. There is cardstock that is sandable, and you could use this on that. See, it roughs it up, just gives it a different look. Hope you'll be able to see that. But a tool like this is handy as well. And of course, you'll need your scoring tools, your bone folders. Another way to bind your junk journal is by having an awl to create the holes so that you could sew the signatures into your cover, or just sew your signature together. An awl is a great tool. I use this thing so many times. It's unbelievable. But when you're selecting your awl, you want to get one that is fairly thin. You don't want a thick, pointy needle at the top of it, because then it's going to make large holes into your paper, and you don't really want that. So let's do this. So this makes a little less than 1/8 of an inch hole. And I really wouldn't go any larger than that. I just think it would be too big. So when we think about binding, there are some tools out there that you can get as well. We Are Memory Keepers had a binding tool set that you could pick up, and it came with this little pouch. This was from Paige Evans. It had a pokey tool where you would, if this is my journal, the one thing I didn't like about this is all of the screwing in and unscrewing. I don't know. I just found that annoying. But you put it in and tighten up the little screws, and then you would be able to make your holes. So that you could then use your needle and thread. So you're definitely going to need a needle and thread. You could use hemp thread, crochet thread, whatever you like. There's even wax thread out there, which is really good as well. But you want a nice needle that has a larger hole at the top so that you can get your threads in there. But overall, again, you don't want your needle to be too thick, because if it's really large, it'll just put bigger holes into your paper. So I do know that there is possibly something in the works related to this type of tool for Country Craft Creations, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. So there are just some of the tools that you might use when creating a junk journal. And you could also use your die cutting machine, embossing folders, and your scoring board, of course. These are just examples of what you can use. Again, you don't need to rush out and buy anything, but you might already have some of these in your stash that you can use. I just wanted to be able to provide you a little bit of an overview of some of the types of materials that you can use in junk journaling, as well as just really general crafting. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's little video about junk journaling supplies and tools that you can use. So that's it for today. I'll see you in my next video when we talk about preparing our ephemera from the Petals and Letters collection. Thanks a lot, everyone, and I'll see you next time.